Okay, ready? Okay, so we're gonna go into the last part, which is professional relationships and acquaintances. So if you go to the next slide, you will see the tree again. So we're gonna go to this very last tree. It's where it's mostly filled, but with that being said, it also is another arrow where it's where acquaintances. So acquaintances are pointing at interpersonal is pointing at two trees, as well as working relationships, because you can have interpersonal relationships within working relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Yep.
Okay, ready? So our final part is, if we look at the tree, these we're going to talk about the thinnest part of our branches. These can be co-workers, acquaintances, people that you just meet. These are the less significant relationship. It does not mean they can't turn into an interpersonal relationship or even a personal relationship. So just because it has the whole, this is what this relationship is, it does not mean that it is going to be that way forever. Like everything, you have a decision, you have a choice if you want to evolve your relationship.
Yeah.
So if you go to the next slide, it's going to just have some bullet points about working relationships. So we're going to talk about working relationships real quick. So what is a professional relationship? Well, a professional relationship can be known as a working relationship. In the book Communication Life and Everyday Life, Duck and Manhan 2017 defines a workplace relationship as a workplace relationship contains many different kinds of relationships. Some people of which are good, and some of which are good, and some of which are bad. Some people get along and some people don't. Some people are close friends, which can both be beneficial and platonic. Some people even form romantic relationships within its own set of issues, which bring its own set of issues. Still, other people can come to hate one another or become enemies. So now that we have a definition of working relationships, what is a definition of acquaintances? So we're going to just stay on the working relationship slide. The website Difference Grew You editorial staff 2017 refined acquaintances is someone that you know. You have made their acquaintance in some context. This means that you've either been formally introduced or you know about it and know about each other from common group of people. An acquaintance can be a coworker, a friend of a friend, a person you interact with at social events, etc. Your attitude around this person is polite and reserved. The level of trust between you, in the sense that when you give a choice, you would pick each other out. You would pick each other out of a group of people if others were strangers. So working relationships and acquaintances, they are the start and beginning of relationships, of what the characteristics of working relationships, Okay, sorry, my iPad died.
Okay.
I told you I was going very dangerously.
Yeah, it's okay.
I was living the very dangerous life. Okay. So I'm gonna Okay. So, where did you guys hang up? So, working relationships and acquaintances, these are the start and characteristics of relationships, the beginning of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Do you guys get that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's get a better idea about what a working relationship is. So, you guys should be on the slide that says working relationships.
Yep.
Working relationships, let's get a better understanding of what a working relationship is. The book Communication, Life and Everyday Life, Duck and Manhan, 2017, defines a working workplace relationship. The workplace contains many different kinds of relationships, some of which are good and bad, some of which are good and some of which are bad. Some people get along, some people don't. Some people form close friendships with beneficial and platonic relationships. Some people even form romantic relationships, which comes with its own set of issues. Still, people come to hate each other and become enemies. So that's the definition of a working relationship. There's many forms, as you see in the definitions. You can easily turn it into an interpersonal relationship. So there are many forms of an interpersonal relationship, of a working relationship. So now that we have, it's like high school all over, because anyways, that definition even says that if you start a working relationship, it can turn into a personal relationship. So now let's talk about the positive and negative effects that a working relationship can have on you. So if we go back to the tree, we're going to talk about the thinnest branches. The thinnest branches tend to have leaves on them because they are brand new. They're the new branches, the new relationships. Because these relationships you may or may not want to develop. So this is the deciding point on whether you want to develop a relationship with someone. Positive effect of a relationship at a workplace. These relationships can be friendships or romantic relationships or even personal relationships. Benefits can be support of work performance and comfort for personal issues. In the book Communication, Life and Everyday, Duck and Manhan, 2017, the book talks about having a good and positive relationship with your coworkers and supervisors is essential. Your coworkers that have been there longer than you can show you the ropes, show you how to do things. Answer any questions that you may have developed to help you have a better understanding of your job. The little actions can help you form a friendship in a personal relationship. When you have a relationship, it often benefits the business, whether the employees like each other, employees like others. They are more likely to help each other out. It forms a positive and welcoming environment to work in. It allows you to do better, to do the best work. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Unfortunately, there are benefits and there's disadvantages. Disruption, friendships, disruptive relationships, and hostile relationships are just some examples of working relationships. Can be platonic. In the book Communication, Life and Everyday Life, Duck Manhan in 2017 talks about how relationships in the workplace can be hard to affect your personality, professional, and business. It can affect you personally, professionally, and business. Disruptive friendships can be hard. They can cause you to lose focus on your work, cause you to having issues with management, when it comes to getting your assignment done. You may become more focused on your guy's personal life, rather than on your work. Another factor is that friendships that don't always get along. Friends don't always get along. It's unfortunately human nature, because of that it causes you guys to bring issues into work, affecting the environment which you work in. Disruptive romantic relationships we will want to have a romantic relationship. At least I think you do. I think I do. Romantic relationships have a lot of the same issues as friendships. Romantic relationships, however, have their own problems, because they are a personal relationship, and if there is an issue between the two at home, it's hard to not affect the work that you do at work. So it's hard not to bring your home issues into work, especially if you work together. That's basically what I'm saying. I mean, that's just human nature. If, it's hard. It's hard to break it up. Another problem about a romantic relationship is many businesses have a no dating policy. Therefore, if the relationship ends in a wrong term, it may wrong terms. It may cause an issue within HR, because some people can be petty and There are also issues with having power over one, because it may be the supervisor of the other. Hostile relationships are sometimes hostile relationships are sometimes the one that no one likes. So no one likes hostile relationships. Like, as life is life, sometimes you and someone else may not like each other, causing the environment of the business to become hostile. Another thing that can be a problem is anti-tagmatic relationships is sexual harassment. Sexual harassment may happen because the idea of a power over another. Make sense?
Yes.
So if you go to the next slide, we're going to talk about acquaintances. Okay? So we're going to switch gears and talk about acquaintances for a little bit. As mentioned before, the definition of acquaintance, Difference Guru editorial staff 2017. The definition of acquaintance is a person you know. You may have their acquaintance in some context. It means that you are either become formally introduced or you know each other from a common group of people. An acquaintance can be a coworker, friend of a friend, a person you've interacted with at a social event, etc. Your attitude around this person is polite and reserved. That is a level of trust. There is a level of trust between you two on the sense that when given a choice, you would pick each other out of a group if others were strangers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Being acquaintance is the very being of a relationship, beginning of a relationship. This is when communication is essential for seeing whether or not the person that is someone would like to build, whether or not that person is someone you would like to build a relationship, a friendship, or a romantic relationship. An example of acquaintance is maybe someone you have class with. You don't know them, yet you know of them. These people being considered strangers to you and talking to them may be uncomfortable to you. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And in the book Communication Life in Everyday Life, Duck and Manhan 2017 talks about strangers and how when you're younger you are probably told don't talk to strangers. I know I didn't listen to that because I would talk to everyone. I mean, would I not? Know how when you were okay. Starting at the age of 2. Okay. Now, starting at the age of 2, I was yelling hi at everyone at the grocery store. But if you think about it, we never talk to strangers. But if you think about it, we never talk to strangers. We would have any relationship, friendship, personal, interpersonal, or work. Talking to strangers, oddly, is part of everyday communication. Now, we talk to strangers when we are older, when we order the food, we pay for something at a grocery store, waiting in line. It's something that you as a person don't think about yet. When you are sitting in class with someone, you may not talk to them because they are a stranger. So being acquaintance, well, there is something that you didn't know about So being an acquaintance, well, that's something I didn't know about when I was younger. I think one of my favorite stories was when I was about 2 years old. I was a very social little kid. I would say hi to everyone, just about everyone. I was at a grocery store shopping with my mom. She stopped along. She was walking along with me in the car. We stopped in the produce section of the grocery store. I said hi to a woman who was just walking by. I said hi like I've been doing, because I was doing that to everyone. Well, she didn't do the right thing, which was say hi back. Therefore, I got right up in her face and yelled hi at her. The story is an example of being an acquaintance because I knew of her. I mean, I was 2, so I didn't know anything. So I didn't know anything. I didn't know her, but I was, a social kid. I would say hi to everyone. Literally. So we go to the next slide. This is making a working relationship successful. We are almost there. You guys have 4 slides left. Okay? 4 slides. We're almost there. So a working relationship can be complicated since you're taking your friendship into an environment that you have to be professional. You can leave personal at home according to the website aafp.org. Alfred F. Tia, MD, Holly Lorham, MBA, Robert R. McDaniel, Jr., ED, Benjamin F. Cobtree, PhD, 2016. The 7 things to make a working relationship successful: trust, diversity, mindfulness, interrelatedness, respect, varied interactions, and effective communication. Trust and respect are a solid basis to a personal relationship of any kind. any kind. Trust in a working relationship, asking someone for advice and using it and signing is a sign of trust that the information they gave you is valid information. Respect in a working relationship means that you're willing to see someone else's point of view when it comes point of view can be willing to change your mind. At least I'm going to change your mind. At least be willing to change your mind. You may not change your mind, but seeing someone's point of view, you are considering it. You respect them enough to listen, hear them out, and consider. Last, I'm going to talk about diversity. Diversity is important because it allows more points of views on opinions to the topic. Diversity can be extensive range of things: race, age, education, experience, gender, and gender. They are all provide extensive variations, vary of differences to issues. So does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you go to the next slide, this is talking about the difference between a friendship and an acquaintance. Okay? So the difference between a friends and acquaintance, the website Difference Guru Editorial Staff 2017 talks about the difference between friends and acquaintance. I mean, the main and most significant difference is the amount of intimacy you share with a person. Another difference is the way you act around another. If they're a friend, you will act more relaxed versus an acquaintance where you may be more uptight on your best behavior. The physical difference may be you hug your friend, and acquaintance you shake hands. Okay? So if you go to the next slide, it is pictures of, the first slide is a picture of working relationships. They're my coworkers from a holiday party, my old coaches, and then my students, because they are all working relationships, different forms of working relationships. Okay, and then if you go to the following slide, it is the picture from one of Leo's birthday parties, where I know of Leo's friends, but I'm not close friends with them, so I consider them acquaintances because I know of them. I don't talk to them. I only see them and talk to them once a year. The next picture is me with the fire chief of Bellevue and other people in the program. I know of them. I'm not really close with them. I would consider them acquaintances, So, finally, to wrap up this speech, despite all the relationships we talked about, there's still a ton of different relationships that we didn't cover. Personal relationships being the closest of our relationships. The moving into interpersonal relationships being the less significant relationship, yet still important to us. Finally, then we have our working relationships and acquaintance relationships. Think back to the tree, where we have our personal relationships, the large stable branches of our tree. Then we move into our interpersonal relationships, which are our co-workers, friends, people that aren't as close to us, which was our thinner branches. That they can still be stable branches. Finally, we have our working relationships and our acquaintances, the relationships that are new to you and are the smallest branches of our tree. Relationships are confusing and complicated and continuously changing. I want you to take the information you learn and apply it. Have the knowledge of the relationships around you and how they affect you and the effect on them. What kind of relationship are they, And finally, how you are going to improve your relationship? Okay.